Hi, I'm Holly Andrews, Integrative Nutrition Health Coach and Executive Wellness Coach. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the kitchen. We are almost at the end of January, and I don't know about you, but it is still chilly where I am. And so today for you, I have a really wonderful, nourishing stew, and that is my cauliflower and chickpea with ginger and turmeric stew. So this is a plant-based stew. So if you're vegetarian, this is for you. Even if you're not vegetarian, this is for you. It is jam-packed with all kinds of goodness, and let's talk about what's in this stew. All right, so this winter must-have stew has a few key ingredients. It's a really simple recipe, nothing complicated, but obviously this recipe has chickpeas in it for some plant-based protein, which is a wonderful source of protein. It obviously has the cauliflower for a low carbohydrate complex carb and to give it some depth and fullness. Cauliflower brings us vitamin C and vitamin K along with the texture that it gives. We've also got some really wonderful spices. Obviously the turmeric, which you know I love. I grated some fresh frozen, but fresh from the farm turmeric that I froze. It's actually blue Hawaiian turmeric that actually has more curcumin in it, which is that anti-inflammatory property, than your regular orange turmeric. So that's what I chose to use this time. I also took some of my frozen ginger that I bought straight off our local farm and grated that up as well. Again, anti-inflammatory properties, boost, keep our immune system where we want it to be, nice and strong and healthy. And then obviously we've got some broth, which the recipe itself calls for vegetable broth. So if you want to keep it vegetarian, you would want to use that. I just made a batch of my homemade chicken bone broth. So that is what I chose to use in this recipe because I know what's in it and I love it. It's just full of amazing goodness with the collagen and the spices, anti-inflammatory properties, all good things for gut health, which helps keep our immune system going strong. We've also got some spinach or kale in this recipe, some sort of leafy green. I have spinach today, but we want that again for the phytonutrients that come from that, the iron, the magnesium, all of that good stuff. So all kinds of really wonderful, yummy stuff in this recipe. Now you can have it on your own, or you could pair it with another protein source. If you really wanted to up your protein, you could add some chicken, or if you again want to keep it vegetarian, you could add it's another soy protein, but it's the fermented soy tempeh. Fermented soy products is going to go a lot further and be a lot better for you than just your standard tofu. So you could try some tempeh in here, and you could switch up the spices, switch up the greens, really make it your own. You could pair it with a nice crusty whole grain or maybe crusty gluten-free sourdough bread if you want a little bit of that to go with the stew and make it extra, cozy. So lots of ways to pair this recipe, serve this recipe. You could always add a dollop of Greek yogurt on top, or some coconut yogurt if you want to add some extra creaminess. I'm not going to do that today, but those are always options. So check out the blog post below for the recipe and other ideas for ways to serve this stew. So let me tell you how I made it. First thing I did is I got all of my veggies chopped and ready to go. So I started with a medium-sized head of organic cauliflower, and I cut up the florets into bite-sized pieces just to make sure that they cook really nicely and evenly, but then also that you don't wind up with a huge piece of cauliflower that's in a bite of stew. That's not something that's pleasant for anybody. So chopped up my cauliflower, chopped up some garlic. I chose to use fresh garlic today, and then obviously I grated my ginger, my turmeric, got that ready, and chopped up my onion as well. So got all of the veggies and the spices ready to go. Got my Dutch oven on the stove, added some olive oil in that, heated that up, put my onions in to cook once the olive oil was hot enough. That let them cook down for about 5 minutes until they were softened and kind of see-through. Added in my garlic, my ginger, my turmeric, let them get fragrant, which they did, and it smelled amazing. At that point, I should have added my coriander and my cumin, which I forgot. I added my chickpeas in first and then remembered the coriander and the cumin, so I added those in and then added in the cauliflower. Stirred those all around, made sure that the chickpeas and the cauliflower were coated with the good spices and the oils, and just made sure everything was mixed really well together before adding in my diced tomatoes. I used canned diced tomatoes today, organic canned diced tomatoes, and my broth. So gave that a good stir once I had all of that in together, and then brought it up to a simmer, popped a lid on it for about 15 minutes, really let that cauliflower cook until tender. Once that was done, I added in my spinach and my coconut milk. So gave that a good stir, let it simmer again for about 5 more minutes to make sure that the spinach was wilted, the coconut milk had nice and melted and blended in, and that coconut cream was nice and melted and blended in, and it looks amazing and smells amazing. So I'm gonna dish some up and I will be right back. All right, so I have my stew here. I don't know how well you can see it. I don't want to spill it, but it looks beautiful. It's got all of those vibrant, the green from the spinach, the red from the tomatoes. It looks creamy a little bit from the coconut milk. I am going to sprinkle it with a little bit of parsley that I chopped up just to give that a whirl. And that is our cauliflower chickpea stew with ginger and turmeric. And I am going to enjoy this all week as my lunch and know that I am giving my body really wonderful nourishment that it needs this time of year. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Stay tuned for next week, and I will be back with another recipe. Until then, I'm Holly Andrews, and I believe that you can heal your stress from the inside out.